Hi, I'm Reverend Jake Sabe, and welcome to Children's Bible Stories. Alright children, our Bible story for today is going to be the story of Michael and the dragon. So in the book of Revelation, the Apostle John is given visions about things going on in the heavenly realm. And in Revelation chapter 12, he is given a vision of a war breaking out in heaven between the archangel Michael and his angels on one side versus the dragon, Satan, and his angels on the other side. And they had a big fight. Get him! Get the angel! Get the angel! Rah! Naughty demon angels! Suplex! Rah! Take that! I'll get you, Satan! Ah, my wings! My wings! Rah! And so the dragon and his angels fought against Michael and his angels. But the dragon and his angels were defeated. And it says that no longer was there found a place for them in heaven, but that the dragon was thrown down to the earth. That great and ancient serpent, the devil, Satan, was thrown down to the earth. Now the question is, when does this war take place? Some people think that this war is taking place at the second coming of Jesus. And so that this is part of the war that takes place in the future. However, we are told in the following passages that after the dragon is thrown down to the earth, he attacks the woman, which is a reference to the church. But then she is given wings and she flies to safety, and since the dragon cannot attack the woman, he attacks her children, a reference to the Christians. And so if the dragon is coming down to earth to attack Christians, this can't be a reference to the future at the return of Christ, but must be a reference to the current period. Now some people also think that this battle between the dragon and Michael happened in the beginning, when Satan first disobeyed God and he was kicked out of heaven back before the fall of Adam and Eve. But that is mentioned earlier in the chapter in verse 4, when the dragon is cast down to the earth and he sweeps with him 1/3 of the stars, 1/3 of the angels. So this war in heaven is not a reference to Satan's fall at the beginning, nor is it a reference to the second coming of Christ at the end. Instead, this war between Michael and the dragon is a reference to the crucifixion of Christ. And we know this because chapter 12 tells us that the dragon has been thrown down to the earth and that he has been defeated by the blood of the Lamb, which is a reference to the crucifixion of Jesus. Now, there are some scholars out there, like Martin Luther, who think that Michael is just another name for Jesus. And so, when we say Michael fought against the dragon, this is just a symbolic representation of Jesus casting Satan out of heaven. There are other scholars then that believe that Jesus and Michael are different figures and that Michael is an archangel, a created being who leads the army of God. Whether or not Michael is or isn't Jesus, the war in heaven in which Michael casts Satan out of heaven is at least a symbolic representation of how Satan is cast out by the crucifixion of Christ. So the dragon, Satan, and his angels are cast out of heaven by the power of Jesus, won by his crucifixion on the cross, and it may have actually been physically done, or spiritually done, by Michael kicking Satan out of heaven and casting him down to the earth. And the text tells us then that after the dragon was cast down to the earth, he could no longer accuse the saints in heaven, because they were forgiven by Jesus and they were up in heaven where they were now safe. But the dragon was angry, and he went and he attacked the earth, and he waged war on the woman, the church, but she was given wings and kept safe, meaning that the dragon cannot overcome the church, but instead the dragon went and waged war on the children of the woman, the individual Christians. And so, children, Satan has lost all his power. He cannot accuse us anymore. If you are in heaven, you are safe. Once you die and go to heaven, Satan can't get you. He's been kicked out of heaven. On earth, if you belong to the church, Satan can't get you. He can't hurt the woman, the church. The church is safe. The devil will never be able to overcome the church. But the individuals of the church, we individual Christians, we are at risk. Now, as long as we stay close to our mother, the church, and to God our Father, and to Jesus our brother, we will be kept safe. Satan, the dragon, cannot harm us. But if we separate ourselves from the church and from God, then we become vulnerable, and the dragon can get us and eat us up and take us down to hell with him and his angels. And so, children, if you want to avoid the dragon, the devil, you need to go to church, read God's word, and go to the sacraments of baptism, absolution, and communion. I've been your host, Reverend Jake Zabel. Hope you kids have enjoyed this story. Goodbye, and God bless.